Hello, my name is Alex Merced, and this is a video for Ask a Libertarian, which if you haven't liked on Facebook, please do. Now, anyways, what I want to talk about today is how does a free market benefit the environment? Now, what I want to do is demonstrate that if you have market incentives, it can actually have improvements that would benefit the environment. And I'm going to give you 3 different examples of where if incentives change, the environment is better off. So the first one I want to talk about is sort of the subsidies to the agriculture industry. Now what happens is that we heavily subsidize corn and other things within the agriculture industry, increase the cost by controlling how much certain things are grown, all sorts of different weird distortions within the agriculture industry through the United States Department of Agriculture. Now what's happened is that it's made it really cheap to feed animals and have huge fields of grazing cows, or just to buy corn to feed cows. So what happens is that meat is actually cheaper than it otherwise would be. And at the same time, we're eating unhealthier because we're eating more red meat than we probably otherwise would have if the prices were different. But at the same time, all those extra animals out there, as far as extra cows that are being grown for the purposes of meat, they are letting methane into the air, and this is part of what causes the concerns for people who are concerned about the concept of climate change and CO2 emissions in the air. So essentially, if the government got out of the agriculture industry and stopped subsidizing agriculture, you'd have a lot less of an incentive to produce as much meat as there is now, which would have a positive benefit on the environment based on most people's concerns. So the second thing I want to talk about is the roads. So if we started to put more market incentives in the planning and construction of roads, it would be very positive for the environment. Imagine that we had a pay-per-usage road, where basically we could keep track of how much people used roads, so the more you drove around the roads, the more you paid in contributing to the road system. There would be an incentive for people to, one, want to construct less roads, in the sense that we want to build stuff closer to each other, so that way we don't have to drive as much. That would mean less usage of oil and gas and less exhaust in the air because we're driving less, but it also means you're maintaining less road because there's less road actually on the ground, and since people are trying to drive on it less and drive less in distance, the cost of maintaining that road is less, which that's actual like financial resources. But at the same time, there'd be incentives to carpool, develop public transportation systems because of that cost. And that would actually, again, reduce exhaust into the air, and that would be beneficial to the environment. So incentives in the roads, having private market incentives into the roads, could actually make a huge difference in our incentives on how we use the roads and how that benefits the environment. Now, the third thing I want to point out is Al Gore. Al Gore is a great example how the market can benefit the environment versus the government. Now, Al Gore, as part of government, tried for years to try to get legislation passed and push for legislation regarding the environment. But as a private market actor, creating a documentary did much more than he ever did as a legislator to change people's behavior. So by creating information, whether you're a fan of the documentary or not, The Inconvenient Truth, it did change people's behavior, change people's minds. He did much more as a private actor to make change than he did as a legislator, because the legislative process is slow, and the more you focus on it, the more you're not looking at low-hanging fruit on how to get things done today within sort of private, voluntary alternatives. So Al Gore is a perfect example of how actually the non-government solutions sometimes work better. So my name is Alex Merced, and this is a video for Ask a Libertarian on how free market incentives can benefit the environment. Thank you very much.